The air in the glass-walled boardroom on the 88th floor of the Lotte World Tower was thin, expensive, and tasted of impending victory. Min-ho straightened his silk tie, the $10 billion merger documents resting on the mahogany table like a king's ransom. In 10 minutes he would be the most powerful man in South Korea. In 2 hours he would marry the daughter of the Minister of Trade, sealing his family's dynasty for a century. "Sign here, Min-ho," his father, Chairman Park, commanded. His voice was like grinding stones. "The lineage is finally secured. No more distractions. No more mistakes." Quick break. Have you ever had a secret from your past come back to haunt you? Let us know in the comments below. We're reading every one. Min-ho's hand hovered over the paper. The mistake his father referred to was a summer in New York 7 years ago. A memory Min-ho had buried under layers of work and duty. A memory of a girl with skin like dark honey and a laugh that made the concrete of Manhattan feel like home. "Naomi." "Sir?" His secretary's voice crackled over the intercom, sounding panicked. "There is a woman here. She doesn't have an appointment, but she's bypassed security." The double doors swung open before the chairman could roar a rejection. The silence that followed was absolute. Naomi didn't look like the girl from the Brooklyn cafes. She looked like a woman who had walked through hell and found it wanting. Her braids were pulled back tight, her face drawn, and her eyes, those eyes that used to be full of light, were now 2 scorched craters of desperation. If you're feeling the tension, hit that like button right now. It helps us bring you more stories like this. Min-ho's pen hit the floor. "Naomi. You've grown cold, Min-ho," she said, her voice a jagged blade that cut through the corporate artifice. She didn't look at the $10 billion contract. She didn't look at the shocked faces of the board members. She walked straight to him, the click of her heels sounding like a countdown. Chairman Park stood up, his face purple. "Get this woman out. Security. We told you." "You told him I was dead," Naomi snapped, finally looking at the old man. "And you told me he was married. But I'm not here for your lies today, Park. I don't want your money. I don't want your apology." She reached into her bag and slammed a medical folder onto the merger documents, staining the pristine white paper with the seal of Seoul National University Hospital. "Wait until you see what's inside that folder. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you don't miss the next chapter of this betrayal." "What is this?" Min-ho whispered, his heart hammering against his ribs. "It's a legal summons for a compulsory DNA test and a medical emergency petition," she said, her voice finally breaking. "Our daughter, Min-ho. Her name is Sora. She's 6 years old, she has your eyes, and she's dying in a ward 3 miles from here because her blood is attacking itself." Min-ho felt the room tilt. "Daughter? She needs a bone marrow transplant." Naomi stepped closer, her breath warm against his frozen face. "And you are the only match left on this planet. You have 48 hours before her organs fail." "Min-ho, sit down," his father screamed. "If you leave this room, the merger is dead. The family is ruined." "He's lying. It's a scam." Naomi didn't flinch. She leaned in, whispering so only Min-ho could hear. "7 years ago they bought my silence with a lie. Today I'm buying her life with your soul. Choose, Min-ho. Be a king or be a father. You have 10 seconds before I walk out that door and she dies alone. The choice he makes next will change everything. Share this story with someone who loves a good twist. Part 2 is coming up next." Min-ho looked at the pen on the floor. He looked at his father's red, furious face. Then he looked at the medical file, at a photo of a little girl with a gap-toothed smile and his own dark, stubborn eyes. The 10-minute timer for the merger hit 0. Min-ho turned his back on the $10 billion. "Let's go," he said. The elevator ride down from the penthouse was a suffocating silence. In the lobby, the press was already swarming. News of the aborted $10 billion merger had traveled faster than Min-ho could walk. He didn't care. He shoved through the flashing cameras, his hand gripped tightly around Naomi's wrist, not to restrain her but to keep himself grounded. They reached the Seoul National University Hospital in record time, Min-ho's black sedan weaving through traffic like a predator. The pediatric oncology ward was a world away from the mahogany boardrooms. It smelled of antiseptic and fading hope. Naomi led him to a corner room shielded by a glass partition. Inside, a small figure lay buried under a mountain of white linens. Tubes snaked from her tiny arms, and a heart monitor beeped with a rhythmic, fragile persistence. Minho pressed his palm against the glass. His breath hitched. Sora was beautiful. She had Naomi's curls, but her jawline, sharp and stubborn, was unmistakably his. She was a living, breathing ghost of a summer he had tried to forget. She was born 6 months after I left Seoul, Naomi whispered, standing behind him. Your father's men told me you were already engaged. They gave me a plane ticket and a choice. Leave with the child and never return, or stay and watch them destroy my family's business in Lagos. I chose her life over my pride. Minho turned, his eyes burning. I never knew. I thought you just stopped loving me. I never stopped, she said, her voice hard as flint. But right now I don't need your love. I need your marrow. The doctors say she has an aggressive form of leukemia. The hybrid nature of her DNA makes finding a match nearly impossible. You are her only hope. Before Minho could respond, the ward doors burst open. Chairman Park stormed in, followed by 2 men in dark suits and the family's lead attorney. Minho, get away from that woman, the chairman barked, his voice echoing off the sterile walls. The minister is calling off the wedding. The stock is plummeting. You are going to sign a statement right now saying this woman is a stalker and this child is a fabrication. She's not a fabrication, father, Minho said, his voice terrifyingly calm. She's my daughter. She is a liability, the chairman roared. He turned to Naomi. How much? 10 million. Name your price to take this brat and vanish again. The slap echoed through the hallway. Naomi hadn't hesitated. Her hand was still raised, her body trembling with a mother's rage. My daughter's life is not for sale. The chairman sneered, rubbing his cheek. Fine. If you won't take the money, you'll take the consequences. Minho, if you step into that prep room for the transplant, I will freeze every asset you have. I will strip you of the CEO title by midnight. You will be a beggar by dawn. Minho looked at the heart monitor inside the room. The line dipped slightly. Sora stirred in her sleep, a small moan of pain escaping her lips. He looked at his father, the man who had built an empire but lacked a soul. Then he looked at Naomi, the woman who had fought for their child alone for 6 years. The preparation for the bone marrow harvest was grueling. Minho lay on the narrow hospital bed, the stark fluorescent lights exposing the fatigue etched into his face. He had lost his company, his reputation, and his inheritance in a single afternoon, yet as he watched Naomi through the glass, holding Sora's hand and whispering stories of Lagos, he felt a strange, terrifying sense of peace. The procedure is risky, the surgeon warned, checking Minho's vitals. Because you are the sole match and the patient is so fragile, we need to take a significant amount. You will be weak for weeks. Take what you need, Minho replied, his voice raspy. Just make sure she wakes up. As the anesthesia began to cloud his mind, the door to the prep room swung open. It wasn't his father this time. It was Dr. Kong, the hospital's chief of hematology, looking pale. He waited until the other nurses stepped out before leaning over Minho. Minho, I shouldn't be telling you this, Dr. Kong whispered, glancing nervously at the security camera. But your father just tried to have me transferred. He didn't just want to stop the transplant, he wanted to suppress the full blood analysis. Minho fought the sedative, his eyes widening. What analysis? Sora doesn't just have leukemia, Minho. There are traces of a very specific long-term chemical toxin in her system. It's a slow-acting immunosuppressant. It's what triggered the cancer's aggression. The doctor's voice trembled. It's a substance manufactured by one of your family's pharmaceutical subsidiaries. Someone has been making this child sick for years. The world went black before Minho could scream. 3 hours later, Minho jolted awake in the recovery ward. His lower back screamed with a dull, throbbing ache from the harvest, but his mind was on fire. He looked to his left. Naomi was slumped in a chair, exhausted. Naomi, he croaked. She jumped, rushing to his side. You're awake. The transplant went perfectly. The doctors are optimistic. Where has she been living, Naomi? Minho grabbed her hand, his grip tight despite his weakness. For the last 6 years, who has been sending you support money? You said my father's men found you. A trust fund, she said, confused. Every month, a deposit came from an offshore account. It paid for her school, her vitamins, her checkups. I thought it was your way of looking after us without your father knowing. Minho felt a cold dread settle in his marrow. The vitamins. Do you still have the bottles? I have them in my bag. She takes them every morning. Why? Minho's breath hitched. His father hadn't just paid her to disappear. He had been managing the liability. He had been poisoning his own granddaughter from across the ocean to ensure she would never be healthy enough to return to Korea and claim her place in the lineage. Suddenly, the ward's television flickered to life. A news bulletin flashed. Tragedy at SNU Hospital. Chairman Park announces granddaughter's passing due to complications. Calls for national mourning. Naomi let out a strangled cry, turning to the window that looked into the ICU. Sora was still there, breathing, her monitor steady. He's declaring her dead, Minho whispered, the realization hitting like a physical blow. He's going to use the death of the secret heir to garner public sympathy, fix the stock prices, and then he's going to make sure she actually disappears. The hospital doors at the end of the hall burst open. It wasn't doctors. It was a team of private transport guards in black suits, carrying a gurney. They weren't there to save Sora. They were there to collect the body. Minho ripped the four from his arm, blood splatting on the white-tiled floor. He stood up, swaying, his body screaming in protest. He looked at Naomi, his eyes turning into the monster his father had raised him to be. They aren't taking her, Minho growled. Naomi, get the doctor. Tell him we're moving her now. Not to another ward. To the helipad. Minho, you can't even walk. I don't need to walk, he said, reaching for his cell phone and dialing a number he hadn't touched in years. The head of a rival syndicate his father had once crushed. I need to burn a kingdom down. Then I'll be a beggar, Minho said, stripping off his expensive suit jacket and tossing it at his father's feet. He looked at the head doctor who had been watching the exchange. Prep the theater. I don't care about the money. I'm giving my daughter whatever she needs to live. As the nurses began to lead Minho away, his father hissed one last threat. You think this is over? I'll have the girl moved. I'll tie this hospital up in so much litigation they won't be able to give her an aspirin. Minho paused, looking back over his shoulder. If you touch her, father, I won't just leave the company. I'll burn it to the ground with you inside. The hospital's rooftop was a battlefield of wind and rain. Minho, clutching his side where the harvest needles had pierced deep, leaned heavily on Naomi. Between them they pushed Sora's high-tech transport incubator. The sound of heavy boots echoed in the stairwell. Chairman Park's cleaners were seconds away. Minho, we can't go to the police, Naomi shouted over the roar of the wind. Your father owns the precinct. If we go to a public hospital, she's a sitting duck. I'm not taking her to a hospital, Minho rasped, his eyes fixed on the horizon. I'm taking her to the one place my father fears. A matte black helicopter, unmarked and lethal-looking, descended onto the pad. The side door slid open to reveal a man in a sharp charcoal suit. Lee Dong-gun, the ghost of Busan, and the chairman's most bitter rival. You're late, Dong-gun, Minho growled. I had to make sure the flight path was cleared of your father's radar, Dong-gun replied, glancing at Sora. So, this is the child he tried to erase. He looks like a park. Poor girl. They loaded the incubator as the stairwell doors burst open. The chairman's guards stepped onto the roof, guns drawn. But they froze. To fire on a helicopter belonging to the Busan Syndicate meant starting a corporate war that would turn Seoul into a graveyard. Tell my father, Minho shouted as the helicopter lifted, that he declared her dead. As far as the world is concerned, she is a ghost. And ghosts are very, very good at hauntings. For the next 24 hours, they lived in a fortified bunker beneath a private estate in Jeju. While Naomi never left Sora's side, watching the color slowly return to the girl's cheeks as the clean blood from the transplant began to fight back, Minho sat in a room filled with monitors. He wasn't resting. He was hunting. With Dong-gun's hackers, Minho traced the offshore accounts that had paid for Naomi's vitamins. He found the paper trail linking the toxic chemicals to a secret lab in the basement of Park Pharmaceuticals. But he found something even more devastating. His father hadn't just been poisoning Sora. He had been using the same immunosuppressant technology to slowly weaken his political rivals and even his own board members to maintain control. It's a massacre on paper, Naomi said, standing in the doorway. She looked at the screens, then at Minho's trembling hands. You're going to destroy him, aren't you? I'm going to do more than that, Minho said, his voice cold. I'm going to let him think he won. He's holding a memorial service for Sora tomorrow morning. He's invited the Prime Minister. He's going to announce a Sora Park Foundation to launder the money from the merger. What are you going to do? Minho stood up, the pain in his back forgotten, replaced by a singular, burning purpose. He walked over to Naomi and took her hands. 7 years ago I let him tell me who to love. Today I'm going to show him who I've become. We're going to that memorial, Naomi. But we aren't going as mourners. He leaned in, his forehead against hers. I need you to be the woman who survived him. I need you to walk into that cathedral and show them that the mistake he tried to kill is the only thing that's going to save this family's soul. The Myeongdong Cathedral was draped in white lilies and black silk. It was a memorial of sorrows that looked more like a coronation. Every major news outlet in Asia was broadcasting live as Chairman Park stood at the pulpit, dabbing his dry eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. My granddaughter, Sora, was a secret I kept to protect her. The chairman's voice boomed through the vaulted arches. But the heavens are cruel. She has passed into the light, leaving a void no wealth can fill. In her name I am finalizing the merger that will fund the Sora Park Global Health Initiative. He picked up the gold-plated pen. The $10 billion contract sat before him, the final piece of his absolute legacy. Suddenly the heavy oak doors of the cathedral groaned open. A silhouette stood against the blinding sunlight. The only thing cruel about the heavens, Father, is that they haven't struck you down yet. The congregation gasped. Minho walked down the center aisle. He wasn't wearing a suit. He was in a simple black sweater, his face pale but his eyes burning with a terrifying clarity. Behind him, Naomi walked with a grace that silenced the room. And in her arms, wrapped in a pale pink blanket, was Sora, awake, her eyes wide as she took in the soaring ceiling. Security, the chairman screamed, his face morphing from grief to a mask of pure horror. This is an intrusion. These people are actors. My granddaughter is dead. I'm very much alive, grandfather, Minho said, his voice amplified by the lapel mic he'd been wearing since he entered. He didn't stop until he reached the altar. He turned to the cameras. And so is the evidence of your crimes. At that moment, every screen in the cathedral, and every television broadcasting the service, flickered. Instead of the chairman's face, they showed the internal lab reports from Park Pharmaceuticals. They showed the wire transfers to the vitamin company. Most damning of all, they played a recording of the chairman's voice from the hospital hallway. I'll tie this hospital up in so much litigation they won't be able to give her an aspirin. The Minister of Trade stood up, his face ashen. The merger was dead in an instant. The board members began to back away from the chairman as if he were a leper. You think a few documents can destroy me? The chairman hissed, leaning close to Minho. I am this country's economy. No, Naomi stepped forward, looking the man who had tried to kill her child directly in the eye. You are just a man who forgot that a mother's love is more precise than any poison. Sora survived because she has her father's blood, but she has my strength. The police, led by officers who didn't answer to the Park family, entered the sanctuary. The handcuffs clicked over the chairman's wrists right on top of the $10 billion contract. 1 month later, the sun set over the Lagos lagoon, painting the water in shades of violet and gold. Minho stood on the balcony of their new home, a modest but beautiful villa far from the cold glass towers of Seoul. Naomi stepped out behind him, leaning her head on his shoulder. Inside they could hear Sora laughing as she played with her new toys, her health fully restored. You gave up everything, Naomi whispered. The title, the billions, the power. Minho turned and pulled her into his arms, kissing her forehead before looking down at the daughter who had saved his soul. I didn't give up everything, he said, his voice thick with a peace he had never known. I just finally paid my debt. And for the first time in 7 years, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. As the stars began to appear, the billionaire, who was now just a man, realized that some vows are never truly forgotten. They just wait for the right moment to be kept.